Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you happen to be seeing this. I do believe that it will be the right time. So, welcome to this evening's live stream. I'm super excited to be sharing some good news with you all on this evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully, you can join me live. And for those of you who come in later to see the replay, I do want you to hashtag replay, leave your comments. Because what I'm about to share with you is something that I'm super excited about. Today is launch day, and so I do not want to wait any further. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get into the conversation for tonight. And as we prepare to do this, I do ask that you just settle in with me for the next 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to go through this information on this most exciting evening, and I'm hoping that you are settled in. I personally am having a nice warm cup of lemon water to settle down for the evening as I share with you on tonight. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the kickoff, the launch for From the Pages to Your Power, the book circle that I do believe can be the resource for your next chapter. And yes, I think that your next chapter starts here if you decide to move forward in this space with me. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more as we get into the rest of the conversation. But for those of you who may be joining me for the first time, perhaps you are just landing here on this live stream and you've not seen a post or any comments from me in the past. So I do want to take this opportunity to quickly introduce myself. I'm Ericka, the owner of True Synergy. And as a certified coach practitioner, speaker, and an Amazon #1 best-selling author, I get super excited to help women and organizations figure out what stands in the way of their success. And the best part of that is that I then get to share strategies to help them move beyond those barriers so that they can create the best versions of themselves. And so, as an Amazon #1 best-selling author, that really is the catalyst and the inspiration for the book circle, which we're going to get into in just a moment. So my book, I'm Here, Now What? Finding Joy After the Storm, is all about navigating divorce and trying to manage through the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, and all of the emotional components that come along with it, but being able to find joy on the other side of that. And so that really is the backdrop of this book circle. But I want to be very, very clear because I recognize that people are going through many different types of transitions. And so what exactly is From the Pages to Your Power book circle? Well, it's a 6-session transformational journey built around my Amazon #1 bestseller. And so what we'll do is we'll dive into the themes from the book so that you can explore how they relate to your real life circumstances, with the intent of moving you from pain to power, from fear to clarity, and chaos to calm. And I do believe that we are living in a time right now where we are all looking for some measure of one or all three of those components. So the question then becomes, well, who is this book circle for? Well, first is for the woman who is navigating a transition. As I just mentioned to you, the book for me is centered on my divorce and how to manage through all of that and then try to figure out, how to live joyfully on the other side of that. But for you, maybe there's something else. Maybe you are dealing with some other type of loss of a job, loss of your identity, right? If you feel like you have been helping other people to figure out and to navigate their way, and you're trying to figure out, well, who am I in this process? That could be a transition point for you. It's for the woman who is ready to reinvent herself. And let me just say this, that given the times that we are in right now, I think these first two bullets are so, so very important. And the reason is because many of us are navigating in spaces that we're very unfamiliar with. Maybe there are things that have been taken away from us that we were connected to, and maybe that was a source of our identity. And so now we find ourselves in a space where perhaps we were not ready before to reinvent ourselves, but now we have been given this opportunity, if you will, to consider that. So the book circle is then for you. It's also for the woman who is longing for community and connection and compassion. And, one of the things that I've been saying in multiple conversations is that this is not the time for us to be isolated. It's very easy for us to kind of crawl into a shell, especially when we're in a pivot point or we're going through a transition or we're in the midst of chaos and we're trying to figure out how to navigate it. And sometimes kind of secluding ourselves feels like it's a safe space. And for a moment, we may have to do that. But at the end of the day, being in a space with other like-minded people to be able to share, to express, and to be able to not just talk about how we feel and how we're being impacted, but to be empowered to then move forward from where we are now to where we want to go. And so the book circle is also for the woman who is ready to stop surviving and start thriving. Let me just say that again. It is for the woman who says, I'm not just trying to stay on this hamster wheel. I don't want to just keep going through the motions every single day, very robotically. I want to do something that's purposeful and meaningful. I want to feel like I'm not just doing things to get by, but I'm connecting myself to things that are meaningful to me. I'm connecting myself to things that are purposeful and fulfilling. So if that sounds like you, then the book circle is indeed for you. So there's a 4-part structure to the book circle. Number one, there are guided conversations. And when I say guided conversations, I mean that we're coming into a space. We have very themed conversations, of course, because these sessions are themed based on the book. Very relatable, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But we have the structure around, the conversations that we need to have, that we want to have, that we feel like perhaps we've been holding on to and we haven't had the space to share before until now. Secondly, the book circle includes practical tools and prompts. So not only do we have themes that are centered around the chapters of the book, but then we get some practical tools that we can use. Not only am I reading, but I'm applying this so that it pertains to my real world situation. And then, of course, the prompts are the things that help you to then think about your situation, apply the tools, and then take a next step. We also have space, which I think is very, very important, safe space for sharing. I want to say that again. The book circle is all about safe space for sharing. One of the things that is so very important is that whenever I am in a space, whether it's with a client one-on-one, whether it's in a group setting, whether I'm in a community setting, it is so very important to create safe space. Because so often we are in situations or in conversations or we're in spaces and we feel like we can't show up as our authentic self. We can't share. We feel like we're going to be judged, or there's going to be some conversation around what I'm sharing that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to be supported. So oftentimes those are the situations that we find ourselves in. But here in the book circle, we are intentional. I am intentional. We will create this together, the safe space for sharing, so that you know that you can show up and you can be who you need to be and express what you need to express, and we can be in a respectful communal space with each other during the book circle. And then lastly is action-focused sessions. So, one of the things that I will say is that this is not just a book club. So oftentimes we join book clubs, we read a book and we talk about characters, and we talk about, how we think the characters were feeling and what they were thinking and the actions that they took. And while that's exciting, This is not that. So when I say action focused sessions, in order for us to move into new space, in order for us to navigate where we are right now and where we want to go next, how we want to feel, how we want to show up, how we want to behave, how we want to express ourselves, how we want to unpack and uncover new things about who we are and how we get to show up in the world, well, it's going to require some action focused sessions, some things where you not only get the guided or participate in the guided conversations, not only do you get the practical tools and the prompts, not only do you have the safe space to be in order to share all of those things, but then you get to go out and do. And why is this important? Well, because in order for us to transform, in order for us to change and create the best version of who we desire to be, then we need to take action. And so that is the structure of how the book circle will operate. And so the question you might be asking yourself is, well, why now? Why is the From the Pages to Your Power book circle? Why is this something that should even be considered at this moment in time? Well, the reality of it is the world feels heavy right now. I'm sure that anybody watching this right now can attest to the fact that every day, every moment of the day, there is something. There is a breaking news story. There's something on social media. There's something on the news. If you choose to watch that, I personally have checked myself out of the traditional news cycle. You may be having conversations with your friends and your family, and everything that's happening right now feels very heavy. There are people whose lives have been impacted by what is happening in our country. And there are families who are trying to navigate and deal with all of the things. And because of what we are hearing on a daily basis, every day, all day, it's just like, man, it's just one more thing. Like, I don't want to hear one more thing. I don't want to hear another breaking news story. I don't want to see the banners and the things popping up in red text. Is just too much. And so this is a space where you can find clarity and calm. Because with everything around us, it just feels topsy-turvy. It almost feels like being in the midst of a wind tunnel and you can't find your footing. And the moment you feel like you're planted on firm foundation, here comes something else. So the book circle is intended to give you a space to not just get clarity to understand how you feel in this moment, but to gain clarity on how to move forward in this moment. So let's think about this for just a moment. That when I talked about the transition point, when I said my transition was my divorce, for you, it may be, oh God, here I am in this space that I'm very unfamiliar with. I've been impacted by what's happening around me, and here's how I've been impacted, and I'm not really sure how to deal with that. And so this is the space that not only gives you the clarity to be present with how you feel about that, but it's like, okay, well, how can we utilize this time to be able to create something else that is good for me? That is the question. It's also a time to think about the book circle because life transitions are happening super, super fast. This kind of goes along with what I just said about every single day, every single moment, there's something else is happening. And I will tell you from the beginning of this year up until this point, it feels like for all of us, we've kind of been on this swivel. Like, there's something happening here. Oh my God, this just happened. Did you see this? Did you hear this? Did you know this was happening? Oh my gosh, there's another order. There's another this. There's another that. On top of all the things that were probably already on your plate, on my plate, on our plate before all of the things happening around the country. And so transitions are happening really, really quickly. And so you don't have to navigate those things by yourself. A lot of times when we're dealing with things, again, we compartmentalize ourselves. And sometimes we feel like, oh my God, there's nobody else who's dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with, or nobody else has problems or challenges like I have. And the reality of it is, you do not have to face where you are alone, because we all have something that we're trying to navigate through. And so, with these life transitions, with the swiftness of how things are being taken away and how things are happening and how we're trying to figure out what's the next thing, being in community together is what helps us to then get some more clarity, get some more assurance, get some empowerment to know that, okay, we can move through this. So why now? Well, waiting will not bring change. Let me just say that one more time. Waiting will not bring change. So let me ask you this question. How many times have you said, I'm going to do it? I'm going to just give you a minute to just say me, raise your hand, get present with yourself and say, yeah. See, some of us wait until the perfect opportunity. We wait and we say, well, I can't do it now because I got to wait until, or I got to get this thing first, or I'm not qualified enough, or it's got to be perfect before I can move forward. Does that sound familiar? So if that sounds like you, let me say this: action, support, and reflection. Action, support, and reflection will foster personal growth and resilience. So when you decide to stop waiting, when you decide to stop procrastinating, when you decide to stop waiting for everything to be perfect, for all the I's to be dotted, all the T's to be crossed, when you decide to step forward and say, okay, you know what? Now is the time. Here is the opportunity, and now I get to move. When you take action, you then begin to open up new opportunities for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to take all the giant leaps. It just means that small steps toward the thing that you want to do and how to move through the transition make a big difference. And so the other reason why now is the perfect time to consider the From the Pages to Your Power book circle is because I would venture to guess that you have poured into everyone else. You have poured into everything else. As women, you know that's exactly what we have a tendency to do. Why? Well, because many of us are mothers, we're wives or companions. We are pouring into our employers, into our businesses, into our communities, into organizations that we're connected to. We are doing all the things for everyone else. And at the end of the day, what we have to then stop and say to ourselves is, oh, wait a minute, because I've been pouring into everyone else and I've been making sure everybody else is okay. I've been taking care of everybody else's needs. I've been checking on everybody else. Now I have to recognize that it is, in fact, my turn. Does that sound familiar? Is any of this ring true for you in this very moment? And so if it does, then you know exactly why the importance of now makes sense. Like there is no other time except right now. The present moment that we're in dictates the fact that, yes, it is time for us to do something different in order to move through change, move through this transition, and create something amazing for ourselves. Here's another reason why now is the time. I would be remiss if I did not say that this month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so mental health does matter. And so when I started thinking about this, I realized that the state that we're in right now, many of us are in a place where we have to check in with ourselves, check how we are thinking, how we're feeling, how we are reacting and responding to everything that's happening around us. And so when I started thinking about the fact that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, the book circle is launching in May. And what is the connection? You know, how can we relate the fact that our mental health does matter and we have to check in with ourselves? And I don't just mean because it's the month of May, but I mean every single day. And so when I started thinking about the book circle, I realized that there's some very foundational things that the book circle offers that matches the concepts and the ideas and the principles that we should embody when it comes comes to mental health awareness. Number one is around community. I said it before and I'll say it again. This is not a time for any of us to be isolated. Yes, there are times when we need to step away and we need to have quiet time and we need to be still by ourselves. But then we also need to find that community that will help us to move forward, that will encourage us, that will hold us accountable, that will make us smile, make us laugh, that will share tears and dry those tears if we need to. So community is a key foundational principle to managing your mental health. Number two, connection. Community and connection go together. And let me just make a distinction here. And that is, it's one thing to be a part of a space, which is the community. But the connection piece is how you relate to one another in that community. So when we talk about the book circle, and we talk about the fact that many women are going through various transitions, that is the connection. Because though one transition may be different from the other, there are still some mutual emotions that go along with those transitions. So community and connection, being able to relate, being able to support, being able to be compassionate, empathetic if needed. So community and connection go hand in hand. Another reason why the book circle feeds into the idea of taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I'll add that, is that it's safe space. I want to say this again. I probably cannot emphasize this enough because many people feel like they don't have a place to go to share. They don't have a place to go where they don't want to be judged or they don't want to be looked upon in some kind of way. And so oftentimes that has an adverse effect to our mental state, right? When we think about our mental health and well-being, it is, I just need to be able to share. And sometimes I just want to be able to share without feeling like I have to get something back in return or that I need to get some advice. But just sharing sometimes is a great way to release and opens up mental clarity. It's also a space for support. It goes back to that connection, right? Understanding that you have shared experience or you have shared emotions around experiences, and then to be able to get that support, to lift one another up, to be able to say, you know what, we may be in chaotic times right now, or this may be a space that none of us ever thought we would be in. But when we come together and we support one another, then it is that little fire that ignites in us the possibility that we will and can get through. And then lastly, it is the sharing. And sometimes, as I said before, people just need a space, women, we in particular, and this is not to take anything away from the men, because I understand men have their things too. Men have things that they need to be supported with. They have challenges and they need to find all of these same things that I'm speaking about. But this book circle is in fact for women who need a place to share, to just say, you know what, this is how I felt about this. And I just to be very real and authentic about where we are in this particular moment and how we want to support one another as we share in order to move forward. So I wanted to mention that because a lot of times when we think about our mental health and well-being, there are some very simple things that can give us exactly what we need to nurture ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and all of that contributes to our well-being. So I want to take a moment to just mention that. And I do want to say this, listen, the book circle, does not start in the month of May. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But I wanted to at least mention it here because this is the perfect time to start thinking about how can I make the shifts that I need to make so that even though this is Mental Health Awareness Month, that I'm preparing myself, I'm creating and setting up the catalyst to help me move forward so that I can take care of myself even when this month is over. And the book circle is an opportunity to do that. So with the book circle, you have three choices. There are three levels that you can decide, and every woman is different and needs different things. And so each of these levels brings a different set of benefit. What I wanted to do is at least give you what the levels are, what the investment is, and then I'm going to direct you to the actual website to get all of the details around what each of these levels includes. And so we have a standard Book Circle option at $77. We have the VIP option at $147, and then we have the Premier option at $197. Now, each of these options has the basic 6-session inclusion along with the workbook and an optional Facebook community, which we're going to talk about for those who actually register. We're going to make some collective decisions around what that will look like. So that will be optional. So those 3 components are included in each of the levels. And then as you get into VIP and Premier, then there's some extra added benefits included in each of those. And so I will encourage you to visit the website, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment, so that you can get all of the specifics on each of them. What I will say is that both the VIP and Premier options do have the ability to break into a payment plan. So if you need to break it down into 2 payments, because I understand lots of people are dealing with lots of things right now. Part of the transition for some is that, people are watching finances and budget and all the things, and I certainly do understand that. And so I wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So if you need that option, it is available. Again, there are 3 levels to consider for the Book Circle: Standard, VIP, and Premier. And so here's the important part, and I want to emphasize this before we get ready to wrap up. I am super excited about this space that I have created and still putting some of the final touches on the Book Circle, but there are only 10 spaces available. Okay, want to say that again, only 10 spaces available, and there's only 5 spaces for the Premier level. So I have done this same Book Circle in the past for my first book, Pathway to Purpose. And each time I rolled out the program, what I realized is that the intimacy of the space is very important, because as women, we want to share, we want to be authentic, and we want to be able to have that community and connection that I talked about just a few moments ago. And so it doesn't work well when you have a large number of women for this type of program. And so for this go round and going forward, unless there is a reason to significantly adjust, there are only 10 spaces available. And again, 5 for the Premier. And I think that given the way the program is set up and the nature of how it flows, this is the best approach. So what you don't want to do is wait, because those spaces will fill up pretty quickly. And so I just wanted to be really, really clear on what is available and how to make sure that if you could identify yourself in anything that I've already said to this point, then you're probably saying to yourself, "Ooh, I need to grab one of those 10. So just know that, yes, there are 10 spaces available. So when does the Book Circle meet? Well, we meet on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning June the 16th. And so, I know that the kids are getting ready to get out of school, and we probably have some summer vacations scheduled, and some of us may be doing staycations. So what I realize is that this program is conducive to either. You could be at the beach reading and participating in all of your journaling, which is very cathartic. Being by the water, sun shining, feet in the sand, gives you an opportunity to just enhance the Book Circle experience. And for those of you who may be doing staycations, it's a perfect way to just enhance that staycation. So June the 16th, and then we will end on July the 21st. So that's 6 weeks, 6 sessions, 1 session a week. And so again, you can kind of think about how to incorporate that into some amazing summer fun, because we always look for good reads during the summertime, really anytime. My daughter has given me a whole list of reads that she has gone through and she's recommended. So we can read all year round, but there's something special about summer reading, especially when we use it to enhance our relaxation time. So what is next? Well, for more info, I am going to direct you to go to the bit.ly website, Pages to Power, which you see right here on the screen, so you can get additional info, especially on how the program choices are broken down and what's available in each. And then, of course, you can save your spot right there as well. And again, that is the bit.ly page that you see here, Pages to Power. I'm also going to be dropping the link in the comments section of this live stream. So if you don't have an opportunity to jot it down while it's here on the screen, then you will be able to go back to the comments for the live stream and grab that and get the information that you need and secure your spot. The next thing would be to purchase your book on Amazon. Now, here's what I want to be really, really clear on. If you say yes, and actually, if you feel like, maybe, not the 10 spots may not be one for you right now, you can still order your copy of the book on Amazon. But here's what I want to be really clear about. So when you order your copy, we know that Amazon Prime, you can get your things in 2 to 3 days. With the book, it's a little bit different. So oftentimes the book will take about 5 to 7-ish days because it's print on demand. So you don't want to wait until the last minute to order your book and then try to, not have what you need in order to be ready for June the 16th. So if you secure your spot tonight, this evening, then I would suggest that you go ahead and order your copy of the book as well. Now, the book comes in 3 editions. My book is paperback because I like to write and flip off pages, and I like to be able to bend it back the way that I want to. So we have the paperback edition. There is also a hardcover edition. And then there is an ebook. So I realize that everybody has a different way of how they like to read. And so there is something for everyone. The paperback edition is $18.95. And then the hardback is $23.95. And then the ebook is $8.95. Now, I did check today because I do realize that there are a whole lot of conversations around, how prices are going to increase and be shown on Amazon because, costs are going up and all the things. But I did check today, and it looks like, at least for now, that the prices are stable on the book. So I just wanted to mention that. I didn't think that there would be an impact, but I wasn't quite sure, so I decided to check anyway. So what I will say too is that if you heard something in the conversation tonight, maybe you have questions, what I would say is go to the program page. Look at the FAQs that are at the bottom of the page and try to think about what questions may arise and address those. But if there is a question that you have that you do not see an answer to, then feel free to DM me with your questions, and I will certainly address those for you. And so the last thing that I will say is that I do look forward to seeing you inside of the book circle. I know that this is a time that many of us are trying to figure out. This is a time where we are looking at all of the confusion and all of the chaos and all of the frustration and the emotional toll that many of us are going through right now with how we're impacted by change. There is a conversation that I was having with a friend some time ago. And one of the things that she reminded me of is that chaos often creates opportunity. Chaos is often the time for us to think about things in a new way. And when we're forced into transition, it is an opportunity for us to sort of take the bull by the horns and figure out how do we, here it is again, create the best versions of ourselves. And so it is my hope that you will decide to say yes, not just because, and I'm going to stop sharing now because I want to be able to see if there are any questions, but it's not just because I am putting this out there and making this offer, but Perhaps before now, you have been saying to yourself, how am I going to move to next? And maybe you were asking yourself that question even before all of this. Maybe you were in a place where you were feeling like, I'm not really fulfilled. There's something that's got to give. That's a transition point. So it may not be divorce. It may just be that you're in a place where you know something different has to change. And so the way the book circle is set up is that no matter the transition that you're going through, everything that this program has been designed for, or the way the program has been designed, is applicable to any type of transition. And I wanted to be really clear on that. So I'm going to check comments just to see if there are any comments. Hey there, Colette. Good to see you live with me on this evening. And again, I do want to encourage you that if you happen to come back later to see the replay of the live stream, please do hashtag replay. Let me know that you had an opportunity to listen. And also, again, if you have questions, I'm going to I will drop it quickly here in the comments so that if you have any questions, I want you to go ahead and take a look at the program page so that you can get all of the information that you need. And I will just hold for another few moments in case there are any other questions or comments. And I will put the link right up here on the screen. I think that's what I'm getting ready to do. There you have it. So there is the bit.ly link, Pages to Power. All the details are there. There are FAQs that are there. And again, if you take a look at those and you still have questions, do not hesitate to reach out and DM me. Oh, by the way, one of the things I did not mention is that enrollment is open now and it will close on June 13th. So you have, I'm going to say this, some time, but you don't have time because again, there are only 10 spaces available. So I don't want you to say, yes, I know this is for me. And then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait and you miss your opportunity. So with that being said, I do appreciate you coming in to join me for tonight. I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. I look forward to addressing any questions that you have. And more importantly, I look forward to seeing you inside the circle that kicks off on June the 16th. So until then, take care of yourselves and be well.